In this deep dive, we're exploring the Berean Builders curriculum, and we're going to compare it to another popular option, Apologia, to help you see which one might resonate with your homeschooling style. So, what does this Berean idea even mean? What sets this approach apart?
What's really interesting is how the curriculum's foundation comes directly from Dr. Weil's own scientific background. He holds a PhD in nuclear chemistry, and he's written numerous science textbooks.
Okay, so a nuclear chemist creating homeschool curriculum. That's not your typical scenario.
Well, it's actually inspired by the Bereans in Acts. They were known for examining scriptures daily to verify what they heard. The Berean Builders curriculum takes that concept and applies it to science education, encouraging students not just to memorize facts, but to question, to research, to think for themselves.
So it's like taking that show me the proof mentality and applying it to science.
And it's important to note that this approach isn't about dismissing scientific knowledge or anything like that. It's about empowering students to engage with it actively and develop a deeper understanding.
That makes a lot of sense. So how does this Berean approach actually play out in the curriculum itself?
Well, it varies depending on the age level, of course. At the elementary level, the focus is really on hands-on activities, observation, and sparking a natural sense of wonder. For example, one activity has kids construct a model of the solar system using everyday materials. This allows them to visualize the scale of the planets and their distances from the sun in a tangible way. It's about fostering that innate curiosity that kids have.
That sounds like a much more engaging way to learn about the solar system than just reading about it in a textbook.
And then as students progress to the junior high and high school levels, things get a bit more rigorous. There's more emphasis on understanding scientific concepts and applying knowledge, but that core principle of encouraging students to think beyond the textbook remains.
So it's not just, here's a textbook, memorize these facts. They're actually being trained to think like scientists.
This helps them develop a healthy skepticism, which, as we know, is vital in today's world of information overload.
And that's where the comparison with Apologia comes in, right?
Yes, Apologia takes a different, though still very solid, approach. While Berean Builders is very heavily activity-based, Apologia has more of a classic textbook structure. They present information in an engaging narrative style, almost like reading a story, which some students really connect with.
So it's like choosing between a hands-on science museum exhibit and curling up with a good science-themed novel.
That's a great way to put it. Both are valid approaches to learning science, and the best choice really depends on your child's learning style and your homeschooling preferences. Now, while both curriculums encourage scientific inquiry, but I think it's important to note that Apologia might require a bit more parental guidance, especially with the experiments.
So for someone who might not feel super confident in their own science knowledge, Berean Builders might be a better fit with its ready-to-go experiments and activities. Whereas if you enjoy explaining concepts and guiding experiments, Apologia could be great.
And with Berean Builders, you'll find a unique interweaving of science with other subjects, like history and literature. For instance, they might explore the scientific discoveries made during the Renaissance, or analyze the scientific accuracy of a classic work of fiction.
It shows how science isn't just an isolated subject, it connects to everything. Now, we've talked about the Berean Builders philosophy, but for those of us who might be new at homeschooling, can break down what the curriculum actually looks like in practice?
Each Berean Builders course is designed around a central theme, and within each course you'll find a variety of components, including engaging readings, hands-on experiments, and thought-provoking discussions. The experiments are especially noteworthy because they use simple, everyday materials, making them accessible for any homeschooling family.
What about those who might be drawn to a more traditional approach, like Apologia?
Apologia is a great choice, too, especially if you prefer a more structured, text-based approach. With a strong emphasis on scientific inquiry, it's known for its clear explanations, engaging narrative style, and thorough coverage of scientific principles.
It really comes down to finding the curriculum that best aligns with your family's values and your child's learning style.
It's all about empowering your child to become a confident, independent thinker and preparing them to navigate the complexities of our information-saturated world.
And that's not just true in science. It applies to every aspect of life. So how can we, as parents and educators, foster that kind of independent thinking and a passion for truth in all areas of our children's lives?
That's a wonderful question. Well, one simple yet powerful strategy is to embrace the phrase, "How do you know that?" Encourage your children to explain their reasoning, back up their claims with evidence, and think critically about the information they encounter. Our children are constantly observing us, learning from our actions. If we want them to be critical thinkers, we need to embody that in our own lives, to be open to changing our minds when presented with new evidence. Let's make our homes environments where why is not just tolerated but celebrated. Don't be afraid to let them make mistakes. It's through those missteps that true learning and growth occur. We need to provide a safe space for them to experiment, try new things, and learn from their setbacks.
That's such a valuable reminder. We often try to shield our children from failure, but the truth is, it's an integral part of growth. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the core message for all of us, regardless of curriculum choices or even if we're not homeschooling, is this. Let's nurture a generation that's not content with being clones, with simply echoing what they've been told. Let's raise independent thinkers, passionate truth seekers, and lifelong learners.
It's a shared adventure. It's a partnership between parents, educators, and most importantly, the children themselves.
That's the perfect thought to end on. Thanks for joining us. We hope you've gained some valuable insights.